Hello and welcome. It's Charles Fockaert on February 23rd, 2019. I want to thank you, all of you who support this channel. A special thanks to Mike G there in New York. Also, this morning I was reminded of the uh, the wows sent by Mr. D there in the once great state of Texas. I've been thinking about you, Joe and Ben, and TNT there in Arkansas and others. Tall Oak, it was good to hear from you. I, I try to stick with what's important, and I wanted to follow up. I've been yesterday. I read in Proverbs 22:7, "The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." There's so much more we can talk about. And before I go on to that, this has to do with the law. The last couple videos I did previous to this one and the one on the SGT report concerning the importance of the flat earth, we're on the problem of our debt. The United States, the worldwide, we're in debt. Countries, sovereign countries are in debt over their eyeballs. American consumers are in debt over their eyeballs. Students are in debt for student loans. It's all a big scam. Even older folks in their 60s and above owe money for tuition, which cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. We got people in debt in their cars. We got debt everywhere. And I wanted to kind of refresh my memory, so I went looking as to what exactly is a trillion. A trillion. You know, the Lord says that that one day to Him is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. So numbers and stuff to the Lord, to Yahweh, are basically insignificant. He doesn't need large numbers to get things done. He reduces it down, like the 300 with Gideon, as an example. He has a remnant. But the point here is that we're in debt, and numbers mean something to us. And I don't think we understand what these numbers are. We're talking trillions. There's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of we're $22 trillion in debt, but that's just the debt they keep on the books that they talk about. There's other debt, and we're like 100 to 200 trillion dollars. The United States alone, I read where the entire world is $250 trillion in debt. Then I heard one guy say, we can't have a jubilee. Those of you who are longtime viewers of this channel will know that where this fella's coming from. He's on that special group. And he's saying we can't have a jubilee because there's the other side of the ledger is that there's people who are holding this debt as an asset. And when I was younger, in my 20s, I remember hearing, we owe the money to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves. Being the national debt, we owe it to ourselves. Well, that's not true any longer. We owe it to many, many different entities, Japan, different countries, China, exactly. For example. So we don't owe it to ourselves anymore. We owe it to somebody. And I would suggest that we do indeed need a jubilee, because these people should have never taken on the debt. The borrower is servant to the lender. And I think we need a jubilee. And it's going to come one way or the other. Everything's going to be reset. I've been calling it the reset to reality. And but let's go on to and have a quick look at what it means, what a trillion actually is, shall we? I thought one way to kind of understand or get our minds around, get our heads around how big a trillion is, I ran across this example. 1,000,000 seconds is 12 days. Now, all of us can, think ahead 2 weeks in the future and kind of figure, that's the beginning, early part of March, and I'm going to be here, I'm going to be doing this, it's springtime, etc. So, or we can go back 2 weeks. And so a million seconds, a million isn't that hard to comprehend. Now we got 1 billion. A billion seconds is 31 years. 31 years. At my age, I've lived this 31 years twice now, so I can kind of think back 31 years ago, and I can't really think of, well, maybe, I might be able to make it for another 31 years. So we got an idea what 1 billion is. We can wrap our minds around 1 billion seconds. But now a trillion. A trillion seconds is 31,688 years, almost 32,000 years. And I broke it down here percentage-wise. That's only 0.0009782%. So what we have here is, instead of only 6 zeros or 9 zeros, we have 12 zeros. And the debt, the United States debt as a percentage of GDP, gross national product, as of 2017 is over 100%. And this affects the ability to repay. I read somewhere, I'm not going to go try to find it all. I don't have access to the internet except on my phone, so it's very difficult for me to do the kind of video I like. I'd like to be able to take a clip and put it on here. So, and most of you are smart enough to, if I paint a good enough word picture, you'll understand what I'm trying to say is. The point is, folks, the world is in debt. They've disobeyed Yahweh's law, and we're going to pay the price. No usury, no interest rates. I've explained why in the past. I don't want to go over that again, and we're going to pay the price, because what we've done is we've said, well, I want something, and I don't have the ability. I don't have the money. I don't have the savings right now to pay for it. And what I've done throughout my life is that I've always, for the most part, I've always saved up cash instead of going into debt. You save up the amount of money you need to buy the thing that you need, and then you have cash in your hand. And when it comes time to buy it, I have found, when you have the cash in your hand, you say, well, wait a minute, this is a lot of money here. And do I really need to spend this money on this item? There's just something about having the cash in your hand. And what they've done is, they know this, folks. They know this. That's why they want us to use the card. Because you stick the card in, and those numbers in your account just get erased. And the banks are very, very good at not making mistakes, because they don't want you to think about this, folks. Think about that. Very rarely do the banks make a mistake. But anyway, the money gets spent without enough awareness of what you're doing, I think. That's why I always pay cash, and that's why they don't want you to pay cash. So we're in debt with these huge numbers, and it's worse than that. It's worse than that. The financial sector has what they call derivatives, and that's basically a bet on an underlying asset. It could be an interest rate, it could be, there's a whole number of things. It could be stocks, it could be bonds, it could be commodities, it could be currencies, interest rates, market indexes. They do a lot of this kind of betting in sports. Don't want to go into that, but that's why sports is so popular. That's why people like sports so much, because they bet on the games. So and these financial derivatives are bets, because these people who control our financial system, they love to gamble. they own the casinos and set up so that they win. They win. That's why casinos are so big and extravagant. Caesar's Palace and et cetera, et cetera. They get your money, folks, but they like to gamble. They like to gamble, and they're using the financial system to gamble in. And if they lose, if they place all these bets, and they can make a lot of money in the meantime, and when the whole thing comes falling down, they don't pay the price. They were made whole. They were made whole. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, they had to swallow up, what was it, Lehman Brothers, and they had to merge. Well, what was the other one that merged? I can't remember all that, but these people didn't have to pay the price for their betting. They liked the gamble. And that's all going to come to an end because they didn't fix any of it. Expecting these people to self-regulate, I mean, that's ridiculous. But anyway, that's what's happened. So the point is, this whole system of fake money, this illusionary world of the stock market and all the rest of it is going to come down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just a matter now of when. Don't get fooled by Trump. Everything I've said, and I've said that Trump's going to be worse than Obama. Been saying this since he got elected. It's on the videos. I have several on the playlist. Trump. He's going to be worse than Obama, and that he's of that special group of people. Even though a lot of you don't want to. I was one of the few people who said that, and I stick to that. You shall know them by the fruit. He's not only not talking about the debt and reducing the budget, he's increasing the debt. He's having trade talks with China because he knows that there's going to be a reset to reality coming up. And yeah, he knows all about bankruptcy. He played the system, folks. This is my opinion. He played the system. Casinos are all cash business. People are putting cash. They're called laundromats in the financial world, and they sucked everything they could out of those casinos. Then they filed bankruptcy. He's got his special people, Esau Edomites, for his attorneys. Folks, don't be fooled. And he hasn't said a word about it. He's come up with he's appointed a new head of the anti-Semitism, which is a misnomer. These people are not Semites. They don't descend from Shem. They descend from Esau, Edom. Esau is Edom. And they're passing the laws now, folks. We're going to lose our First Amendment right of free speech. It's already happening on YouTube and other Twitter, Facebook, etc. So he's behind. He doesn't care. He doesn't talk about that. He's not addressing all of the censorship that's going on. He said he wants 5G, even 6G, folks. All right? I could go on and on and on. Don't be fooled by Trump. He's just there. In fact, I'm not a big fan of David Icke, but David Icke came out here and said he's just, which is what I said, he's just, Trump is just someone to carry us along, to buy him more time. He's a Pied Piper. Get him going in this direction. Keep as many as possible inside the corral until the last possible, as long as he possibly can. That's his job. He's playing the role, folks. And now Trump wants to interfere down there in Venezuela. Regime change. And that's just right below our border. And I was thinking about this the other day. I've been to Nicaragua, and the Chinese now own Panama, the Panama Canal, and they've been trying to get, not just the Chinese, but before the Chinese moved into Central America there, they've been trying to get a new canal from up from Bluefields up the river there to Lake Nicaragua, beautiful part of Nicaragua. Nicaragua is a beautiful country. I managed a hotel there in the Caribbean in a while, and I got a chance to move around. I've been to Nicaragua twice, but anyway, the Chinese are negotiating and trying to get a canal through Nicaragua, a new one, much bigger than the Panama Canal. So they will control the access between those seas, the Atlantic and the Pacific. So China's down there, and if we start a war, which is what the United States does, they start a war and then they create refugees, and they're going to end up here, and they don't have to fly in. They can walk up, folks. We're being invaded. Trump's not doing anything about it, folks. Even Ann Coulter come out and called Trump an idiot, and that the only ones who listen to Trump are the patsies. Been saying this all along. Worse than Obama. I'm sticking with it. Got 2 more years of this guy. And, you know, my guess is he's going to leave office and he's going to say, hey, I did the best I could, folks. You saw all the problems I had. But anyway, who knows? And really, who cares? Because they're not going to be our savior. They're not. Someone else is not going to ride in on a white horse and save us. We, the Caucasian race, are the ones being invaded. This is our nation. This isn't just, I heard someone talking about America needs to do this and America needs to, no. The white Caucasians, that's what's the word I'm looking for anyway. The whites in this country, the Caucasians in this country, are going to have to stand up. And we're not going to get any help from Yahweh on this because we're breaking too many laws. And there's a fellow out there that I watched a little bit, and he was criticizing another individual because the other individual was teaching that we need to obey the law. And this pastor was saying that the law is passed. We don't have to do all that anymore. Well, I beg to differ, Mr. Pastor. The law, many aspects of the law are still enforced. Not all of them. The animal sacrifices, for example, are not in place, are not enforced today. But don't tell me the law on usury, against usury, isn't enforced. Don't tell me the law against abortion or infanticide is not in place. Don't tell us that the fornication or race mixing is not enforced today. Need I go on? Can I come in and sleep with your wife there, Pastor? You know, that's one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not covet. That's the Old Testament. A lot of these, quote, pastors need to learn their Bible. And that's what I have to say today. It's been on my mind. And get ready, folks. This is real money. This is real money here, silver. And they took it out. They took out the gold in 31, 32. FDR, put the triple parentheses around him. Then they took out the silver coins that we had. They broke the Constitution. They broke the law of the land back in 64. And we're going to pay the price. One more thing about paying the price. See, what we've done, we've gone into debt. We've spent money today that we should have saved for and spent in the future. So all the consumption that we were going to do in the future, we have already done today. So the depression that's coming is going to be a doozy because there's not going to be enough demand. And we don't produce hardly anything here anymore anyway. I bought something the other day. So I bought this little cap that I need for my black tank, and right on the back, Mexico. Now, I was asking myself when I bought this, I had to buy it, I need it, and I said, why isn't this being made here in the United States? Why is this being made in Mexico? So we had those within our country, traders, who transferred our technology to China for free. In the trillions of dollars of infrastructure it took us to come up with the manufacturing processes, and we transfer all that overseas for free, folks. Oh boy. And we wonder why there's no jobs here. You got to produce. That's why a homeless person never has any money, because he's not a producer. And most homeless people, they cannot or they won't produce for one reason or the other. The United States is not a producing nation very much anymore in a lot of the products that we need. So much to go into how we could have a closed system that we traded with others for what we needed, but we raised tariffs to keep their lower priced products and lower quality products out of our nation. But whole nother video, folks. We are disobeying the law of God. We're going to pay the price for it. We've gone into debt. We're going to pay the price for that. We've turned our back on God. We're going to pay the price for that. And those who bring this truth to the American white race are not going to be very popular. Not going to be very popular. And I'll end with this. I read in Jeremiah where Jeremiah went to the Israelites, and we, the Caucasian race, for the most part, are the Israelites. He went to the Israelites and said, this is what the Lord told me, and this is what you need to do. And they didn't want to hear it, so what did they do with Jeremiah? They threw him in prison. They threw him in prison, and the prisons in that day, the prison was a hole in the ground, and the bottom of the hole, the well, was muck. And think about it, folks. Once they put you in that hole, they don't care about you, and there's no flush toilets in there. In the well that he was in. That's how the American people treat those who come and tell them what they don't want to hear. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you. Hit the bell so you get notified, get a heads up. And thank you for supporting this channel. May the grace of God, our Father Yahweh, may His grace be upon us all, for we most certainly need it. See you.